Okay, let me to find today's lecture notes. It must be here. Ah, yes, lecture 2. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, great, thank you. So, I don't know, you remember or not what we have talked about last Friday's lectures. We have, as you know, that we have introduced the issue and we talk about the definition of the news and journalism. And we will go today with the, that the news values. And then if we can have time, maybe we can talk a little bit about the structure of the news.
إذا الدكتور بيذكر في اللي أخذناه المرة الماضية تعريف الخبر وبعض المهام المتعلقة بالصحافة. هذه المرة سنأخذ المعايير أو القيم المتعلقة بالصحافة. And if we will have time, we will take what, Professor?
Yeah, if we can have time, maybe we can, that have a little bit talk about the structure of the news.
إذا بقي معنا وقت ممكن نتحدث عن الستركتشر بناء الخبر.
Okay, Muhammad.
Yes, Professor.
That probably you have also had it. Just, that a few minutes ago, I have shared, that some documents, posted some documents to the WhatsApp group. Some, that the PDF copies of the books that I taught last week.
Yeah. I'm going to open there.
Yeah, probably they have seen them. And one of the participants has asked me a question about there is any book in Arabic language on news reporting and writing skills. I checked for it, but I couldn't find it. But on the other hand, I found that a program on Arabic writing and reporting skills under the American University in Cairo. So I can share its website. Probably I tried to reach the library database of the American University in Cairo, but I couldn't, reach it. I couldn't access it. But maybe you can access the Arabic, the web version of the University Library's website.
Okay.
It can be possible to find, that a book in Arabic language on writing and reporting skills in Arabic.
Okay, Professor. دكتور
I already posted the website to the chat.
Yeah, I saw it. دكتور أرسل على مجموعة الواتساب الملفات PDF اللي تحدث عنها في المرة السابقة والمتعلقة بالأساسيات الصحفية ومبادئ كتابة الخبر. في أحد الزملاء سأل إن كان هناك بعض الكتب المشابهة باللغة العربية. دكتور بحث لكنه لم يجد. لكن هنا في رابط وضعه على الشات على الزوم، رابط مكتبة الجامعة الأمريكية في القاهرة. ربما نتمكن من خلال الصفحة العربية للموقع إنه نجد بعض هذه الكتب. Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you. So we are today we will talk about that the news values. So when we say news values, we are talking about what makes a story news or how do journalists decide news value.
Value in the meaning of evaluation, right? Because I thought
yes.
Yeah, because I thought values in like ahlaki things.
How we decide any that the happenings can be a news.
Yeah, I understood. Okay. So الآن سنعمل على تقييم الخبر، المادة الخبرية، إذا كانت تصلح للنشر أم لا، تصلح أن تكون خبرا أم لا.
Okay. In that the journalism theory, there are two types of new values. One is that the news values up to liberal theory, and the second news values are the values which are that the find out or found out to Scandinavian that the academics Galting and the roots.
So these are two different ways to...
Yeah, two different perspectives on news values.
Just excuse me, Professor, because maybe
First one is there are two different perspectives on the news values. One is that according to the liberal theory, these are the well-known all over the world, and in total they are 5. And the second is that the new values according to two Scandinavian academics, Galting and the Roots. These are in total 12 and different than the first ones.
Yeah, this is about evaluation, the story, if it deserves to be a
About
news.
deciding what something make news.
نعم، إذا لدينا مدرستان. المدرسة الأولى الليبرالية. المدرسة الثانية, the second school is a Scandinavian.
Yeah, two Scandinavian professors, Galting and Rouge.
نعم، يعني أساتذة من اسكندنافيا، Galting and Rouge، لديهم طريقة مختلفة.
Okay, when we talk or when we say new values, we are talking about the criteria that influence the selection and presentation of events as published or broadcasted news.
إذا نحن عندما نتحدث عن تقييم الخبر نتحدث عن المعايير التي تؤثر على تحديد وعرض الأحداث كمنشورات أو مذاعة، كمكتوب، يعني كخبر مكتوب أو كخبر مسموع أو مرئي.
And these values help explain what makes something newsworthy.
هذه المعايير التي تحدد إذا كان الخبر يستحق النشر.
The news values, according to the liberal theory, liberal journalism theories, they are in total 7, and the first one is impact, the second is timeliness, the third is prominence, the fourth is proximity, the fifth is proximity, bizarreness, the sixth is conflict, and the last one is the currency.
بناء على المدرسة الليبرالية، المعايير لتحديد الخبر هي 7: impact التأثير، timeliness الوقت، يعني أن تكون حديثة. timeliness means to be new, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Prominence الحضور. Proximity it means that it will be...
It is about being closer or far away. Sometimes, as you know, that for example, the happenings in neighbor countries are so important for your country, but on the other hand, what happens in, for example, in a that a small country in Africa don't take the interest of your public.
I see. Proximity القرب، bizarreness الغرابة، conflict الصراع، و currency الآنية. But Professor, what's the difference between timeliness and currency?
We will see it. Okay. When we talk about the currency, we are talking about the actuality, But when we are talking about the timelines, some, that some happenings never, that miss its warfare, like Palestinian and the Israel conflict. It has always, that the news warfare.
إذا الفرق بين timeliness هو الشيء الذي يحافظ على أهميته على مدار الوقت. currency الآنية، الخبر الآني.
Okay, the first impact. This is about, how many people an event or idea affects and how seriously it affects them determine its importance as news.
الإمباكت التأثير هو متعلق بعدد الناس الذين يتأثرون بالحدث أو بالفكرة ومدى تأثير هذا الحدث أو هذه الفكرة بهم.
If you know that for example, a disaster has a more news worthy than you know that it's small traffic accident, because when we talk about a disaster, that means many people are affected. Some people, for example, we never, you know, that they expected that kind of a disaster, but as you know that always disasters can happen. Many people can injure, many people can die, so it affects many people's lives. But on the other hand, just you know that a small traffic accident on a small street and no people, you know, that injured or something else, it doesn't, you know, that take the interest of the public.
إذا على سبيل المثال كارثة طبيعية على سبيل المثال تستحق أن تكون خبر، أما حادث سير بسيط في مكان ما لا يستحق، لأن هنا يعني يفرق في عدد الناس المتأثرين بهذا الحدث.
On the other hand, sometimes, you know, any issue or any happening event which is related to the majority of the society or large number of the people, it has also, you know, that the big impact. Like, you know, that for example, parliamentary elections in a country, it has a big impact as well.
Yes.
Or rising inflation.
إذا القضايا هذه مثل انتخابات برلمانية في دولة ما أو تصاعد التضخم لديه تأثير أكبر، وبالتالي يستحق أن يكون خبر.
Always, you know, that the many of a large number or many people in the society wants to know about the developments, you know, that on the parliamentary elections or rising inflation or unemployment.
Yes. يعيد الدكتور نفس المثال، أعداد كبيرة من الناس تحتاج أن تعرف عن نتائج الانتخابات أو عن صعود التضخم أو عن أرقام البطالة.
The second news values is the timeliness. When we talk about the timeliness, as you know that today's news may be stale tomorrow. In most cases, issues of great impact are timeless. Journalists should tell an important story as soon as they can. In other words, the news must be current. If it has to have any value, a killing that took place 3 years ago is likely to evoke for less interest than a murder that occurred before an individual's eyes. The news must be current to be relevant. It must affect the people right now.
Yes, but in this case, if some news are more important, they are timeless, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, yes, you know that, for example, any, you know, that event which is not directly affect a big impact, you know, on the society, and it has happened many, you know, that the time ago, people never, you know, that get attention on them.
إذن بعض الأخبار تستحق أن تكون دائمة حاضرة في الإعلام، حاضرة في الصحافة، لكن بعض الأخبار هي مجرد أخبار عابرة لا تستحق الوقوف عندها طويلا.
The third one is the prominence. It is believed that, you know, that among the journalists, that names do not always make news. Happenings that involve famous corporate organizations or institutions are likely to be interesting, even if not important.
I didn't get that, Professor.
Okay, you know, as you know that there are two, when we, go into the news and analyze them, we see, that the two type of news people in the news. One is important, that the figures like politicians, presidents, prime ministers, parliamentarians, or celebrities, and they have always, have priority to be news. But on the other hand, the ordinary people and people in the society don't have any, priority to be in news,
Yes.
even though they had any,
More interesting.
if any, an ordinary people is injured or killed in a disaster, on a bomb attacks, that or something, that happened bad to them, they can be in news.
إذن هو الحضور، الشهرة، شهرة الاسم، نجوم الفن، نجوم الرياضة، نجوم السياسة، ما يحصل في حياتهم اليومية في بعض الأحيان ينقل الإعلام بشكل مستمر، بينما ربما الإنسان العادي غير المشهور قد يقتل أو يصاب أو يحدث معه شيء كبير ولا يكون له حضور في الإعلام.
Probably you have seen the news about Prince Harry yesterday or in last days, about his book.
ربما تابعتم قصة الأمير هاري البريطاني المتعلقة بكتابه والأمور التي سربها أو يعني فضحها على الإعلام.
All of us know that the Prince Harry is not, be part of the royal family of United Kingdom anymore. He left his position.
الأمير هاري رغم ذلك يعني هو فعليا ترك العائلة الحاكمة، لم يعني تخلى عن لقبه كأمير في بريطانيا.
But on the other hand, what he makes, it is always in the news.
ورغم ذلك هو دائما موجود وحاضر في الإعلام.
Just think that if any of you, that can do the same things what Prince Harry do you think that you can be in the news?
إذا أي واحد منا فعل ما فعله الأمير هاري هل سنكون في الإعلام؟
Or think a celebrity like, that a famous football player, or, that a famous singer like, that the Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, or, that Rihanna or Jay-Z or Beyonce. What they do,
ينسحب على كل
it is
المشاهير
they are always in the news, but none of us are not in the are not in the news.
إذا كل منهم في الإعلام ولكن نحن لن نكون.
So,
Professor, who knows, maybe we have some celebrities between us.
Sorry?
Maybe we have some celebrities between us.
Maybe, we don't know. But on the other hand, if there's a celebrity, that among us, so what we can say, they have the priority to be in the news.
Yes.
So when that only the ordinary, that the human people are in the news when they are in trouble, when they are killed, when they are injured, when they are robbed, or any that kind of a trouble. They are in the news only at that times.
فقط عندما and they don't mention their names in general, right?
Yes, you are right.
For example, they say two people were killed in a car accident, but they don't mention their names.
No.
Yes. إذا يصبح الإنسان العادي خبرا عندما يحدث معه شيء كبير جدا، لكن في أغلب الأحيان لا يذكر حتى اسمه، مثل مقتل يكون في غارة أو في حادث مرور إلى آخره.
And this inequality is not only between the people, but there's always an equality between the countries and the societies as well.
I didn't get that.
You know that to be in news, people, what I told? I thought that to be in news, the people are unequal. That's right.
Yes.
As people, the countries are also unequal to be in news.
I see. إذا كما هو
Like, that we see, that the most of the Western countries, Western societies, Western people, Western institutions in the international news, but we see that, for example, African people, African institutions, or that the happenings in the African countries rarely in international news institutions, international news media.
Yeah. إذا كما هنالك غياب في العدالة أو في المساواة بين الناس بين المشهور وغير المشهور، فهنالك أيضا لا مساواة بين الدول. هنالك دول أكثر أهمية من دول أخرى. كل حدث صغير أو كبير يعرض في الإعلام عن تلك الدول، بينما دول أخرى ربما لا يعرض عنها أشياء مهمة.
And that there had been a big debate in the 60s and the 70s in the world between the Western countries and the rest of the world. And the rest of the world has complained, that this inequality of the, that the news distribution by the international news media.
إذا كان هنالك in 60s and 70s, right?
Yeah, 60s and 70s.
الستينيات والسبعينيات كان هنالك جدل ونقاش بين الدول الغربية وبقية دول العالم بهذا الخصوص.
And that the investigation committee has been set up under the UNESCO.
وتم يعني عمل لجنة تحقيق تابعة لليونسكو في هذا الموضوع.
Yeah,
investigate this, right?
to search the unbalanced news distribution by the international news media.
لدراسة، هذه اللجنة كانت مكلفة لدراسة غياب التوازن في العرض الإعلامي في المنصات الإعلامية العالمية.
And the committee has shared its, that research report in 1980. It's known as the UNESCO McBride report.
اللجنة نشرت نتائجها في عام 1980.
And to the report, almost 90% of the, that the news in the international news media are related with the Western people, Western societies, Western institutions. And most of the news are positive news about the Western world.
التقرير وجد أن العالم الغربي يسيطر على 90% من الأخبار المنشورة والمتداولة في وسائل الإعلام العالمية، وأغلبها تتحدث عن الغرب بشكل إيجابي.
The rest of the, that the world can be seen in the international news media when they had, that the trouble in their country. Yeah, I mean the news about the rest of the world, which can be in the international, mostly are negative news about those countries.
أما الحصة المتعلقة ببقية العالم فكانت غالبا تسلط الضوء على الأشياء السلبية والمشاكل التي تعاني منها تلك الدول.
For example, international news reported a news about an African country when there had been a earthquake or a disaster or a military coup.
على سبيل المثال يتم تناول إفريقيا عندما يكون هنالك زلزال أو كارثة أو انقلاب عسكري.
Yeah. Okay. The third, prominence. So we are timeliners. In the fourth one, I think we are right now. Proximity. That's right, the fourth one. Yes, impact. Timeliners, prominence, and the fourth one is the proximity.
Yeah.
Any event that concerns people directly or happens in an area where they live is news for them.
إذا الحديث هنا عن القرب. كل ما كان الحدث قريب من الناس، كل ما كان مهم حضوره في الإعلام بالنسبة لهم.
For example, as you know that the Turkish citizenship, firstly, I am interested in the, that the news about the Turkey, then the, that the neighbor countries, Balkans or Middle East, or, that the other neighbor countries. Then then I am interested the other, that the neighbors or regions in the world.
كمواطن تركي على سبيل المثال أنا أهتم بأخبار تركيا، ثم أخبار الدول المحيطة بتركيا والمناطق المحيطة بتركيا، وبعدها يأتي الدور على المناطق الأخرى حول العالم.
Probably all of you are when you read the news, probably most of you are reading the domestic news first, then the other news, international ones, or some news on different issues.
ربما أغلبكم أيضا كذلك. في البداية تقرؤون الأخبار المحلية ثم الأخبار الدولية.
Is there anybody who would like to share their opinion about this?
في حد عنده ملاحظة أو رأي في هذا الموضوع؟
يعني ممكن المكان اللي عايش فيه أنت بتهتم بأخباره، أو إذا بتعمل بمجال معين فبتهتم بالمجال اللي أنت بتعمل فيه، أو البلد اللي، يعني إذا بتعمل بمؤسسة تابعة لبلد معين بتهتم بهذا المجال يعني، أو هذا البلد.
He says as a journalist, most probably he is talking about that because as journalists, also the institution in which we are working and the position in which we are working also decides that. For example, if I'm working in international news of a newspaper, most probably I will be reading international news more than domestic news.
Yeah, that's right.
Or if I am working for another country's news outlet, I will care about its own domestic news more than mine maybe.
Okay, somebody else?
في أحد آخر عنده ملاحظة؟
Okay, nothing more, I think. Okay, the fifth one is the bizarreness, unusual. I think in, that by having, that the new media in our lives, the most read news reports are those that are unexpected, which take people by surprise. For instance, news report about snow in Sinai or flooding in Thar, Great Indian Desert, or Sahara in Africa or deserts will always, that to catch people's attention.
إذا في أغلب الدول وفي أغلب وسائل الإعلام أكثر المواد قراءة هي المواد المثيرة للغرابة، الأخبار الغريبة غير المألوفة، مثلا هطول الثلج في سيناء مثلا، أو فيضانات في الصحراء مثلا. هذه تحظى بقراءات كبيرة.
The sixth one is the conflict. Okay. Any event that pits man against man has news value, but also, that any event that is, that including a conflict between social groups or countries has always news value.
إذا أخبار الصراعات بين جهة وجهة دائما تحظى بأهمية كبيرة. الصراعات أيضا بين الأفكار. You mean also the conflicts between the ideas, not only between...
Yeah, also, yeah. between the conflicts between the ideas, the conflict between the institutions, the conflict between the countries, societies,
بين
all
المجتمعات، بين الأفكار، بين التوجهات، بين مختلف الدول إلى آخره. أي صراع يحظى بأهمية إخبارية كبيرة.
that is why we see always, that the political conflict news, economic business conflict news, or that the strikes, union labor strikes, always in the news.
نجد أيضا الصراعات الاقتصادية التجارية، حتى الإضرابات العمالية تحظى باهتمام كبير.
And the biggest conflict is, as you know, that war. If there is a war, any, that the region of the world, it has it has a news value, and we see it mostly in the, as the first news, or at the, that the headline of the newspaper.
أكبر الصراعات طبعا وأهمها هي الحروب، وهي دائما تحظى بمكان أساسي ورئيسي في أي صحيفة أو في وسيلة إعلامية.
And sometimes of, that the wars, as you know, that it continues many days or weeks or sometimes years. So we we see it, that we see it, that oftenly on the news, like that the war which is going on between Ukraine and Russia right now.
So no matter how long it continues, it will stay in the headlines, right?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it can, that maybe lose its importance, and it's, that the importance can decline. But sometimes can rise up. But we see it always in the news.
الحروب عادة تستمر لفترات طويلة، ربما أسابيع، أشهر، سنوات حتى. ربما مع الزمن تتراجع أهميتها، يتراجع إقبال الناس على قراءة الأخبار المتعلقة بها، ثم تصعد في فترات أخرى إلى آخره، لكنها تبقى دائما حاضرة في الإعلام.
And as you know that our region, that where our countries are in, I think it is the, that the most well-known region with the conflicts.
طبعا منطقتنا مع الأسف هي أكثر المناطق المعروفة بالصراعات.
So we see our countries are always in the news.
لذلك نرى دولنا دائما في الأخبار.
Am I not right?
الأستاذ يسأل إذا كان تتفقون معه أم لا.
So Mohammed, can you ask them what they think about the, that the news on the conflict, news about the conflicts in their country, or how they prefer to report the conflicts in their countries in the media?
الدكتور يسأل كيف تفضلون تقديم التقارير أو يعني إخبار العالم عن الصراعات الدائرة في دولكم. هل
محمد
تفضل.
السؤال بس هيك ما سمعتش والله ما ركزتش.
الدكتور بيسأل
في احكي
في مايك مفتوح.
كنت عم بسأل في احكي بس
تفضل.
كنت هلأ شفت زميلتنا سما عم بتقول بطريقة إنسانية صحيح. أنا هيك بفضل يعني شفنا مشاهد أوكرانيا كان لافت فيها إنه ما شفنا مشاهد دم، مع إنه صار فيها مجازر وصار فيها إبادات وصار فيها كتير، كان في كتير حريصين على إنه ما يظهر الشعب الأوكراني أو اللي عم بيصير بموضع الدم والعنف، مع إنه إذا بدنا نقول هو نفس الشيء أو جزء منه عم بيصير بدولنا العربية، في قتل وفي قصف، بس إحنا دايما كأنه مباح تكون جثثنا على الأرض ومباح يكون دمنا على الأرض. وهذا غير إنساني وغير وبيعطي انطباع غير جميل يعني. وما بيحقق أي رسالة. يعني أنت إذا بدك التضامن، يعني شفنا بأوكرانيا كتير صار في تضامن معهم، بغض النظر إذا كان تضامن عنصري أو مش عنصري بسبب بشرتهم البيضاء، بس إنه كان في تضامن مع إنه ما كان في دم. فإحنا مش بحاجة لنظهر الدم ليطلع في تضامن. بس هيدا اللي كنت بدي أقوله.
صمود and also Sana, they agree on showing or reporting the news about our conflicts in a humane way, as
Uh-huh.
human as possible.
Human
Uh,
interest.
she says, for example, um, we always see in news our blood is spilled on grounds. Our
Mm-hmm.
bodies are on ground in Arab countries or in our region, in our conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't see those scenes in Ukraine, even though yeah, some massacres happened as well in Ukraine. But we didn't
Okay.
see lots of those images in Ukraine as much as we saw in our region's conflicts. And she says this doesn't have relation with um, trying to make people sympathize with us,
Uh-huh.
because we see that the world is sympathizing with Ukrainian people, even they are not seeing those ugly images coming from there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, of course, maybe this thing has a relation with the Western racism, because they stand beside Ukrainians more than our people.
Uh-huh.
But again, it is not 100% like that. It's not just about Western racism, but also there must be some kind of respect for ourselves. We shouldn't always show that we are killed and our bodies are thrown everywhere around in the conflicts which we are living.
Yeah, that's right. So
هل
somebody else?
في أحد آخر؟ Of course, Sana is when she wrote on chat, she said um, that we should be building our human stories based on simple stories, individual stories, family stories, for
Uh-huh.
example, which could attract more sympathy or reflect the big picture in a better way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but what about, that the local media's perspective on reporting that the conflicts?
Local,
Yeah, domestic media, not
talking
international media.
about local conflicts, about domestic conflicts, right? Or you mean other?
Yeah, local media on domestic, that the conflicts. For example, Syrian media's perspective on conflicts in Syria,
Mhm.
or that the Iraq media on conflicts in Iraq, or Lebanese media conflicts in Lebanon, or Egyptian media conflicts about conflicts in Egypt.
So you mean is it
So how that the Syrian media or uh, Iraq media or Morocco media, that prefers to report the conflicts in their countries?
in which way, right?
Yeah, in which way?
كيف تفضل وسائل الإعلام المحلية تناول الصراعات المحلية؟ مثلا وسائل الإعلام السورية كيف تتناول المسألة السورية، وسائل الإعلام المصرية كيف تتناول القضايا أو الصراعات الداخلية في مصر، وهكذا. هل في أحد؟
يعني ممكن أحكي أنا محمد. سامعني منيح؟ مش عارف عشان على اللابتوب قاعد. بتهيألي عندنا في فلسطين، خلينا نحكي، الإعلام المحلي بتناول القضية الفلسطينية بشكل كتير موسع، وكل التفاصيل، أي إشي صغير كبير ضد الاحتلال بياخده. بس بالصراعات الداخلية عندنا كل وسيلة إعلامية بتتبع أجندة التنظيم أو الجهة أو المؤسسة اللي بتتبع لها. هذا عندنا في فلسطين، يعني
هي
بالمجمل بالمختصر، يعني خلينا نحكي.
Okay. Mr. Mustafa is saying that in Palestine, for example,
Mm-hmm.
Palestinian media outlets are following the conflict with Israel with every detail. Every
Uh-huh.
small move that Israel is doing, the Palestinian journalists are trying to report it. But when it
Okay.
comes to some conflicts within the Palestinians, that time it appears the agendas and the connections between every media outlet and a party or an
Uh-huh.
ideology and so on.
So they are being partisan.
Yeah, right. When it comes to local within Palestinian
Mm-hmm.
conflicts within Palestinians themselves.
I see. What about the media in Syria?
الدكتور يسأل عن سوريا تحديدا.
ممكن أنا أداخل بالنسبة لسوريا.
تفضل.
هلا بالنسبة للإعلام الداخلي السوري، طبعا في عدة جهات متصارعة في سوريا، سواء نظام الأسد من طرف، الثوار من طرف، قسد من طرف. فكل جهة إعلامية حسب التبعية تتناول الملف السوري. فطبعا الأمثلة على ذلك يعني كثيرة، أبرزها أنه مثلا عند اللي بيصير في قصف من قبل النظام على أحياء مدنية في يعني مثلا في المناطق المحررة، فالإعلام الثوري بتناول قصف مناطق النظام أو قصف طائرات النظام على هي المناطق، بينما إعلام النظام بتناول على أنه هو عم بيستهدف إرهابيين، أو مثلا المعارك اللي صارت لتحرير يعني بعض المناطق من قسد، فهي إعلام الثورة أخذ تحرير، بينما إعلام قسد أخذ تعدي على مناطق سيطرة قسد.
So the situation in Syria is almost the same.
Uh-huh.
The media outlets which are following, there are three main parties
I see.
in the conflict. The Assad's regime from one side, the
Yeah.
revolution from the other side, and YPG from the third side, the Kurdish PKK connected. And each of them, they own and they manage some media outlets, or some media outlets are leaning toward them. So they are showing the stories, they are reporting the stories in different ways. For example,
Yeah,
if
so all of them are ideological partisan media, and they are reporting ideologically.
Exactly. We have a friend.
But I would like to know that are there any, that the journalists who are focusing on the, that the human interest dimension of the conflicts, like, that they're reporting the on the, that the children's, that the education problems, or, that the children health problems, or, that the focusing on losing of the, that the people, their goods, homes, or being refugees.
الدكتور يسأل بعيدا عن البعد السياسي يعني القضية الأساسية في الصراع، هل في وسائل إعلام مثلا في سوريا تركز فقط على البعد الإنساني، على آثار الحرب على اللاجئين، على الأطفال، على الدراسة إلى آخره؟
هلا بالعموم نعم، يوجد يعني في عدة دراسات أقيمت، أو عدة حتى مراكز يعني مهتمين في القضايا الإنسانية فقط، ومتابعتها سواء في مناطق النظام أو الانتهاكات بالعموم. ممكن يعني في جزء منه يتابع الانتهاكات، في جزء منه يتابع القضايا الإنسانية، سواء من ناحية المعيشة أو من ناحية الأثر المعارك على السكان أو غيره. وفي جزء يعني يتعامل مع، وطبعا يعني بالعموم معظم هذه يعني المراكز هي غير موجودة في الداخل السوري، ما عدا بعض الموجود في المناطق المحررة، ومعظمها يقوم بعمله من الخارج، إما من تركيا أو من بريطانيا.
طيب هذه مؤسسات إعلامية ولا حقوقية؟
هي مؤسسات بالمعظم، يعني هي يعني تدمج بين التنتين، يعني هي إعلامية حقوقية.
So there are some media outlets, they are actually kind of NGOs, humanitarian aid, working in this, focusing on this. But actually, because they are maybe helpless, maybe to collect some help to gather people around this issue, so they are focusing on media. So by the time they are becoming kind of media outlet, they focus only on the humanitarian side. They don't talk lots about political side, but again, most of them, they are not working from inside of Syria. There are some of them active in the north, but most of them are working from Turkey and from Britain and such places.
I see. So it's not possible to report inside of the Syria.
From the north, there is a bit, but mostly people are going outside to do this job.
Okay. But I think why I ask this question, personally, I believe in that the journalist, that the responsibility to do, that the people is to report, that the humanitarian dimension of the, that conflicts instead of reporting how many people killed or injured.
الدكتور يقول أنا يعني هو سبب السؤال هو إنه مسؤولية الصحفي الأساسية هو تسليط الضوء على القصص الإنسانية أكثر من مجرد الإخبار بأنه عدد معين من الناس قتل أو جرح.
I don't know you are agree with me or not.
هل تتفقون مع الدكتور؟
يعني هو في جزء من الصحافة نعم نتفق معه بهالجزئية، ولكن يعني معظم أحداث الثورة السورية هي أحداث عسكرية، فيعني إذا ما نقلت من الجانب نقدر نقول العسكري، من جانب يعني النقل حتى أعداد القتلى أو كذا، فبيضيع جزء كبير من الأخبار اللي هي مهمة في فهم الواقع في سوريا.
So Mr. Amr agrees partially because he says the conflict is mainly a military conflict. So there's a war. There are armies going to a region, another army is forwarding, two armies are clashing, there are battles, there are the number, the toll of dead soldiers from each side matters at the end. So
and as a civic, we are not part of that war.
We are not part of that war, but we need to follow that, because at the end we will not be able to follow how did we come to this point, later on. When things change on ground, we will not be able to understand how could we come to this point.
Yeah.
Raja Jabir says she agrees that the humane part is the most important.
Yeah.
Mustafa Al-Kharouf says that he agrees, but at the end, the policy, the editorial line of the newspaper or the news outlet in which you are working will decide at the end.
وفقا لزاوية التناول الصحفي، يعني حأعطيك مثال. بأحد تغطية لأحد الحروب كان في قصف على منازل، فلما دخلنا نصور المنازل استوقفنا مثلا مكان واضح إنه فيه أطفال، أحذية أطفال حشاكم، دراجة هوائية، فانطلقنا بالتقرير من هذه الزاوية. يعني أكيد تضرروا الأطفال، يعني ما تناولنا الموضوع إنه تم تدمير المباني، يعني من هذه الزاوية اللي يقدر يتفاعل معك الجمهور فيه. فهذه وفقا لرؤية الصحفي نفسه كيف يعكس زاوية التقرير من جانب إنساني.
Mr. Rushdie says sometimes your job on ground will decide from which angle to start your story, from which angle to start your report. So he says, for example, in a war, Israelis bombed a building. So normally such a news would be عفوا حضرتك من فلسطين صح رشدي؟
هو أنا فلسطيني بس مثال على بلد ثاني أنا كنت شغال فيها.
Okay, so it is not Palestine. He is talking about somewhere else, a conflict zone. So he entered to the building which was bombed. Naturally, the news would be a strike bombs a building, for example. But when he entered to the place, he found some children dead.
I see.
So he started his story from this point.
Yeah, I see. Okay, thank you. Okay, the last criteria is the currency. These are, that the news reports that are not based on a single event, but show a pattern or reveal a concern that is shared by a large number of people. And many of these issues may be related to the subjects like healthcare, education, taxation, or transportation in the country.
So, Professor, just to understand, this currency, it takes the news which is current, which happened just now, right?
Yes, but it continues for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it is not that it's just a specific, that the one happen time for like, that the for just okay, let me give you an example. Like
for example, if we say now a car accident happened, this news is not very important if I don't show the pattern that we have. So, for example, we have seen an increase in car accidents recently, right? Is this what you mean, or?
No, actually, for example, that a big traffic accident, many people, that are involved in, and at first time, that we can just report, that what we learned for at the beginning. For example, we can just only report, for example, how many people injured or killed,
I see.
and how many cars involved in the accident. But when we learned, that more or gather information from the, that the formal sources like police or hospitals, we can report, that more details later.
I see. So this is what we in Turkish media flash, yani.
Yes, we actually in Turkish media we report, that the like, that the news, not flash but breaking news.
Breaking news, yeah, عاجل.
Yeah, son dakika, last minute.
Yes. So
العاجل بيقولوا له لاست مينت او سون دقيقة.
الآنية الخبر اللي ممكن انك تنشره كخبر عاجل ثم يتبعه تفاصيل لاحقة، انه يكون في حادث سير كبير جدا، عدد كبير من السيارات اصطدمت ببعضها، في انباء عن قتلى، ينشر مجموعة عواجل ثم تبدأ التحديثات ويتابع الموضوع حتى ينتهي، لكن ينتهي بوقت قصير لأنه هو خبر آني وليس المعيار الأول أو اللي شفناه في البداية، مثل قضية مستمرة إلى زمن بعيد، مثل القضية السورية أو القضية الفلسطينية إلى آخره.
Okay. The second, that the type of the news values are defined by the Johan Galtung and Mary Humble Rouge.
الطريقة الأخرى في تقييم الأخبار ذكرناها، السابقة هي الليبرالية، المدرسة الليبرالية. هذه مدرسة جوهان جالتونغ وماري روج.
Yes, they have, that they published their scientific article in 1973, and to do their, that opinion, they believe that or perception of what constitutes an event is culturally determined and not a natural occurrence, but they also believe that it related to human culture and therefore should not vary too much globally.
إذن هم نشروا نظريتهم في النيوز فاليوز عام 1973، وهم يعتقدان that our perception تلقينا يعتمد على تلقينا لحدث ما يعتمد على الثقافة الموجودة عندنا بالأساس، ولكن ليس حدث طبيعي. Not a natural occurrence, right? So it is something based in us. It is something.
Yeah, it is they think that
Our
actually, you know, that we decide what something news is related to the human
Yeah.
interest and the human culture.
إذا الموضوع متعلق بنا نحن، يعني لا يمكن تأطيره بإطار معين. ثقافة الشعب الفلاني مختلفة عن ثقافة شعب آخر، فبناء على هذا الاختلاف يكون تنوع الاهتمامات بنقل الأخبار بين المنطقتين.
For example, in the Western world, the people are obsessed with the celebrities and their lifestyles.
على سبيل المثال في الغرب الناس مهتمون أكثر بالمشاهير وبتفاصيل حياتهم اليومية.
If David Beckham splits the, you know, that his wife, you know, that she is the ex-member of the Spice Girls, you know, that group and known as Posh Spice. And on the same day, 5 children are killed in a minibus accident. The tabloids will carry the Beckham story on the front page because we, as a society, have decided that the celebrity gossip is more interesting and newsworthy than the other story.
إذا على سبيل المثال إذا ديفيد بيكهام مثلا لاعب كرة القدم الإنجليزي السابق انفصل عن زوجته بوش سبايس، في ذات اليوم قتل 5 أطفال، أو يعني توفي 5 أطفال في حادث سير. فالوسائل الإعلام خصوصا الشعبوية منها ستنقل خبر بيكهام على الصفحة الرئيسية، بينما يعني سيكون خبر الأطفال في الصفحات اللاحقة.
We do not see these, you know, that only in the tabloid, but also sometimes we see it in the serious, you know, that newspapers, opinion newspapers as well. Sometimes, like for example, we see at the, you know, that the front page of the or cover of the periodical or a newspaper, a speech of a, you know, that a politician, instead of, you know, that instead of reporting a disaster or reporting a big traffic accident.
إذا الأمر لا يتوقف على التابلويدز، على وسائل الإعلام الشعبوية أو الصفراء أو إلى آخره، لكن الأمر أيضا ينسحب على الكثير من وسائل الإعلام الجادة والصحف اليومية أو الفصلية، اللي ممكن أنها تصدر مثلا مقطع من خطاب لزعيم الدولة أو للرئيس أو إلى آخره على حساب كارثة إنسانية أو حدث في مكان ما، يعني قتل فيه بشر أو إلى آخره.
Okay. There are, you know, that the 12 most significant news values which are defined by the Johann Golding and the Rouge. These 12, you know, that the most significant news values are frequency, threshold, unambiguity.
إذا هنالك بناء على الرؤية، بناء على هذه النظرية هنالك 12 معيار أساسي. frequency التكرار. threshold what do they mean with threshold?
It's about, you know, that the size of an event. You know, that if, you know, that it has a big it affects the many, you know, that the people in the society, it has importance, or it affects many people injured or killed in an event, it has also a big importance.
إذا المعيار الثاني الحجم، عدد الناس المتأثرين بهذا الموضوع.
The third one is the fourth one is meaningfulness.
The third one just we didn't.
The third one is the unambiguity. The fourth one is the meaningfulness.
But what do we mean with it?
Sorry?
Events do not have to be simple, but they must be accessible to the public. الأحداث.
As you know that some, you know, that the happenings in the society are too complex, but while the news media is reporting the complex issues in a simpler way.
إذا تبسيط الأحداث للجمهور.
Like you
أوكي.
know that, for example, you know that like as you know that the inflation or unemployment is a you know that a social problem in a country, and it has many you know that dimensions. It's a complex issue, but the media is reporting it so simply. Or you know that for example, refugee problem or immigrant problem in a society is a complex issue that has been there are many dimensions of it. But when the you know that the media reported it, you know that they just simplify it, and it only you know that reports one dimension, or sometimes only you know that they focus on the just focus on the you know that what happened.
إذا الإعلام عليه تبسيط الأمور المعقدة. على سبيل المثال التضخم قضية معقدة فيها العديد من التفاصيل، الكثير من العوامل على سبيل المثال. فالإعلام، مهمة الإعلام نقل هذا الموضوع للمشاهد، للمستمع، للقارئ، للأودينس يعني إجمالا بطريقة مبسطة. ولذلك في بعض الأحيان وسائل الإعلام تلجأ إلى يعني الحديث عن مثلا عامل واحد في الموضوع أو جزء من القصة اللي ممكن إنه يتم نقلها ببساطة إلى الجمهور.
Okay, the fourth one is the meaningfulness, and
يكون الخبر معنى.
so
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the fourth one is the meaningfulness, and it has divided into two categories after Galtic and Rus familiarity criteria.
أن يكون الخبر معنى، وهو ينقسم إلى قسمين بحسب النظرية.
The first one is the, you know, that the first category is the cultural proximity, and the second category is the relevance. When we talk about the, you know, the cultural proximity, that means, you know, that if, you know, that the event or happening agrees with the outlook of a specific culture, it has a, you know, that the niche warfare. For example, you know, that a subculture in a country, or like as you know that the Turkey, you know that has a big, you know that the cultural background with Syria, Iraq, Iran, or Balkan countries. You know that. So when we, you know that anything happened in these countries, so the people are thinking that it's related with its culture. So it has a news warfare in Turkey. Like, you know that for example, the news about the Balkan songs, because we have the Balkan songs as well in Turkey, we listen them, or we have, you as you know that the common songs in Muslim countries or Islamic countries as well.
إذا الدكتور يتحدث عن القرب الثقافي، فالخبر يصبح له معنى إذا كان المستمع يعني يمكن أن يفهم عن ماذا يتحدث هذا الخبر. فإذا الخبر يتحدث مثلا عن موسيقى بلقانية مثلا في تركيا، فهذه الموسيقى أصلا موجودة في تركيا، فلذلك المستمع أو المشاهد التركي لهذا الخبر سيفهم، لأنه في عنده اطلاع على هذه الثقافة. أيضا إذا خبر مشترك عن الإسلام في دولة ما، بما أنه في تقاطع ثقافي، فالأودينس راح يتفاعل مع هذا الخبر. Yes,
or as you know that, you know, as a Muslim countries, we celebrate Ramadan festival at the same time. So while we are celebrating, you know, that the Ramadan festival in Turkey, the Turkish media not only report, you know, that the news about the Ramadan festival in Turkey, but also celebrates for example, reports the Ramadan festival celebrations in the other Islamic countries.
Yes. على سبيل المثال في رمضان، بما أنه رمضان هو شيء يوحد المسلمين كلهم ويبدأ الصيام تقريبا في نفس الوقت، فوسائل الإعلام في تركيا لا تسلط الضوء على الاحتفالات ببدء رمضان فقط في تركيا، وإنما في أماكن أخرى أيضا.
Okay, the second, that the category is the relevance. If the, that the events will be reported and discussed, if they seem to have an impact on the home culture, especially at rate.
إذا المعيار الآخر هو العلاقة، الارتباط. So, for example, if the news is from
for example, is sometimes in Turkey, the people are discussing that, for example, the American, that the fast food culture is killing the Turkish, that the breaking, the feeding or feeding culture, or the, that the cuisine. So as that we think that it's a threat to Turkish, that the cuisine. Or the, for example, that the concept or the content of the American, that the TV series sometimes are criticizing as a threat to Turkish culture.
هو يضرب مثالان. المثال الأول متعلق مثلا بالسلاسل المطاعم الأمريكية على سبيل المثال، اللي ممكن إنه وسائل الإعلام تنظر لها أو الجمهور يتقبل خبر يتحدث عن دور هذه الثقافة في الأكل في التأثير على المطبخ المحلي مثلا، أو Yes,
probably, that in personally, I believe in that in all Islamic countries, the people are thinking, or sometimes the media are discussing the issue of, that our culture is under the occupation of the, that the Western culture via media outlets. I don't know, is there any kind of, that debate?
That Western culture is trying to
occupy,
to come to inside our...
Yeah, to our culture.
Through Western media.
Yeah. Or through media, that productions.
الدكتور يسأل هل هنالك يعني حديث عن محاولة تسلل الثقافة الغربية من خلال الإعلام الغربي أو المنتجات الإعلامية الغربية إلى الدول العربية, to Arab countries, you ask, right, Professor?
Yeah. I think because we have the, that kind of, that discussion in Turkey since 1980s, I remember. Especially the, that the conservative, that families and the people are so worried about it.
الدكتور يسأل طبعا لأنه هذا النقاش موجود في تركيا من عقود، يعني من الثمانينات، والكثير من العوائل والأسر المحافظة في تركيا تقلق من هذا الموضوع. إذا
صحيح هذا كان من ناسي والله بالتسعينات، ولا بحكي عن صعيد لبنان يعني، بخصوص القنوات أكثر من ناحية المسلسلات والأفكار مثلا. كان كتير، بس هلا خلص بوجود السوشيال ميديا فتوجه بالتأثير بالجمهور أصبح مختلف.
So Mr. Rushdie says that in Lebanon, for example, they had this debate in 90s, but since the dominance of social media in recent years, nobody is worried about this anymore because everybody in their own close circles on social media, so they are not getting affected with anything from outside.
So nobody's concerned anymore about the Americanization or Westernization.
Yeah, but he says, for example, now the effect is different. For example, TikTok is controlling minds of children, especially.
Yeah.
Very widely.
Yeah, it's a rising issue as well in Turkey. That the teenagers mostly are using the TikTok, so much, and I see that they are, that they're shooting TikTok videos everywhere at any time.
الدكتور يقول هذه المشكلة موجودة في تركيا أيضا، الكل يتحدث عنها. تجد شبان ويعني يعني في مقتبل العمر يصورون مقاطع فيديو في كل مكان لنشرها على تيك توك.
Okay, the fifth one is the consonance or correspondence, where the familiar is more likely to be taught than the unfamiliar.
المعيار الخامس I don't know how to translate this exactly. Consonants.
Okay, you can translate it like we prefer to, you know, that report the familiar nouns instead of the unfamiliar ones.
إذا هي ترجمتها الحرفية انسجام، ما هو يعني قريب وممكن تفهمه أو إدراكه يعني يفضل على ما هو unfamiliar، يعني بعيد مثلا أو لا يمكن إدراكه.
Let me to check something.
غير مألوف.
Okay, the sixth one is the unexpectedness or surprise. So it is the, you know, that the rarity of an event which leads to, you know, that its circulation in the public domain.
المفاجأة. So it is something which doesn't happen frequently, but
yes, it happens suddenly and unexpectedly.
But again, it is familiar, right?
No, we are talking about the sixth one, not the familiar one. Unexpectedness or surprise.
But don't they? So how can we manage the both values?
Oh,
so for example, if I have something unfamiliar,
yes,
or something which my society, my audience can't understand, I will not be able to report this for them, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it is surprising, but in the same time, they can get
no,
it.
No. The surprising is the sixth criteria. It's not related with the unfamiliar or familiar. It's another criteria.
المفاجأة، الخبر المفاجئ النادر الحدوث، وهو يعني هذا أمر لا يتقاطع أو لا يعني ليس له علاقة بالمعيار السابق اللي هو إنه هذا الحدث مألوف أو غير مألوف، يعني يمكن تفهمه أو غير متفهم إلى آخره.
Okay. This seventh one is the continuity.
Excuse me, Professor.
Sorry?
This presentation, you will share it with us, right?
Yes, I will share with you.
Yeah, because we will need to translate some words more carefully. So some things, because maybe I'm making mistakes. I'm not sure. So also I'm asking my colleagues to excuse me if I made any mistake.
It's okay. No.
شباب سامحوني
The seventh one is the continuity.
على الترجمة، لكن المادة راح تكون عندنا متوفرة لاحقا، بحيث إذا في أي مشاكل نتابعها مع بعض. بس خصوصا هاي المادة أنا يعني نصيحتي إنه نرجع لها بشكل جيد في موضوع الترجمة، وإذا ممكن الزملاء في الشبكة يساعدونا في هذا الموضوع، بحيث إذا أنا عملت أي خطأ يتم تداركه. Yes, Professor, go on.
Okay, the seventh one is the continuity. It is about, you know, that how a story, that reported once, and then how will it goes?
إذا المعيار السابع هو المتابعة على الخبر، كيف بدأ الخبر والمتابعة معه كيف سيتطور إلى آخره.
As you know that a story, that a new story is will be continued, that for some time in the news media. We see if there's, that the upcoming of the story, we will see it when we see it first time today, and we will see it with the new developments tomorrow as well.
إذا سنتابع مع الخبر بدأ اليوم كيف, like the example which we made about the big car accident that we will give breaking.
Yes, that is right.
نعم، كما ذكرنا في المثال السابق عن حادث السير الكبير، ننشر خبر عاجل ثم نتابع عليه التفاصيل إلى آخره.
Okay, the eighth one is the eighth criteria is the composition. This is to provide a sense of balance, gloomy news with good news, foreign with domestic.
التركيبة، هذا المعيار هو وضع شيء من التوازن في عرض الأخبار بينما هو خبر سيء أو محزن، بين الأخبار الجيدة، بين الأخبار الخارجية والأخبار المحلية.
Yeah, as you know that there is kind of that, for example, a tradition in Turkish, that the broadcast media, I mean TV news. As you know that we see most of the domestic and the international, that political news at the front line, as the first news of the TV news, and at the end of the that the news bulletin, we see that some news, for example, about the cats, animals, or any that the event that makes people laugh or smile, to that to make them relax.
So at the beginning political news and at the end light news,
right? Yeah, that the political news are hard issues, serious issues. So, and the people are, that when they see the news, they are, that getting sometimes nervous, or sometimes, that unhappy, or sometimes they are getting in different, that the feelings. But to make them relax at the end of the, that the TV news bulletin, the media prefers to broadcast some news that makes people, that relax or happy or smile.
Yeah. إذا في تركيا مثلا نشرات الأخبار تبدأ بالأخبار السياسية الثقيلة، ثم تحرص مختلف وسائل الإعلام التركية على أن تختم نشرة الأخبار بأخبار لايت، مضحكة، غريبة، تخفف من التوتر اللي تسببه الأخبار السياسية الثقيلة في بداية النشر.
Okay. The ninth one is the reference to elite nations, but not only the elite nations, reference to elite people in the society.
الإشارة للشعوب. But isn't this racist? How are we going to say elite nations?
Yeah, it's that as you know that to Western, that the perspective, the world is formed of the, that the developed world, developed countries, less developed, and the developing countries. So the developed Western countries are the elite nations, and the others are not the elite ones.
إذن الأحداث اللي تحدث في الدول المتقدمة تحظى بأهمية أكبر من الدول الأخرى، تحدثنا عن هذا سابقا، وهذا ينسحب أيضا على الشخص المهم والشخص العادي.
And the media, especially the international news media, prefer to report the news about those elite nations. instead of reporting, that the news from the developing or less developed countries. But I say, that the developing or the less developed countries in commas.
إذا وسائل الإعلام تميل دائما إلى يعني نقل الأخبار المتعلقة بدول المتقدمة أكثر من الدول الأخرى، وطبعا كله بحسب التصنيفات الإعلامية أيضا، وليس تصنيف اللي إحنا نعترف به.
The 10th one is a reference to elite persons in a society. These elite persons are, that the politicians, the high status people, celebrities, or the powerful and the famous people.
إذن هو نفس المتعلق بالشعوب، ولكن هذه المرة متعلق بالأشخاص.
And that these elite persons are more newsworthy than any people in the society.
تحدثنا عن هذا سابقا في النموذج السابق
And if we go and do a research, that about the people in the news, probably we will find out that almost 90 or 90% of the, that the people in the news are the elite people.
سنجد دائما النسبة الأكبر إن لم تكن الساحقة من الأسماء الأشخاص الموجودين المتوارد أسمائهم في الإعلام هم من المشاهير. What's the difference between this and personalization? The next one.
The personalization is about as you know that there are news about the institutions, organizations in the society, but on the end, a person, that like a director general or secretary general are, that representing these institutions, organizations. So they have the, that the right to talk about their organizations. So we are, that while we are, that giving news about the institutions, organizations, that we are giving the reporting the news by, that via the eye of the, that the general directory or general directory speech, or, that the secretary generally or blah, blah. Just think about, that, for example, think about a political party. So while you are reporting a news about that political party, mostly you are reporting the news like the leader of that political party says that, or the deputy leader or secretary general of the, that the political party says that their policy on these issues, blah, 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 blah.
إذن النقطة التالية هي الشخصنة. عندما نتحدث عن حزب سياسي على سبيل المثال، فوسائل الإعلام غالبا تسلط الضوء على قيادي أو قائد أو زعيم أو السكرتير أو المسؤول الكبير في هذا الحزب يتحدث نيابة عن الحزب كله. إذا الحديث مثلا عن مجموعة اجتماعية منظمة إلى آخره، فنفس الشيء وسائل الإعلام تحاول أن يعني تختزل هذا المشهد بشخص معين. عندما نتحدث متحدة فنحن نقول أنطونيو غوتيريش. For example, when we say United Nations.
Yes, when we are to say, when we talk about the United Nations, Antonio Guterres is the, that the Secretary General of the United Nations, and he always talks on behalf of the United Nations and its policies.
إذا أنطونيو غوتيريش هو الشخص الذي يعبر أو يعكس الأمم المتحدة. But here we always in media fall in this mistake, because sometimes we can't find the separating line, the difference between talking personal idea and talking in name of the institution in which I am working or which I represent.
The media is always, that misdoing in that differentiation. It is the same as, for example, that about the presidents. As you know, the president are representing their countries, and when they talk, they are talking about on behalf of their country. But sometimes the people in that country maybe don't think like him.
الإعلام في كثير من الأحيان يسقط في هذه المشكلة، اللي هو التفريق بين هل هذا الكلام الصادر عن هذا الشخص يعكس المنظمة التي يعمل فيها أو المنظمة التي يمثلها، أم يمثل رأيه الشخصي. ففي بعض الأحيان تحدث مثل هذه الإشكالات.
The last one is the negativity.
As-
Bad news is always, you know, that the good for the press and the TV news, and they have priority than the good news to be news.
السلبية، الخبر السيء هو أمر جيد للإعلام، ودائما نعم، قدرة الخبر السيء على الوصول للمشاهدين وجلب الجمهور إلى آخره أعلى من الخبر الجيد.
You know that this is something psychological. Because as you know that while we are consuming the media productions, news, blah blah, as you know that the audience of the media, we are having a catharsis, and we would like to see in the media that the people's, you know, that the station is worse than us, so we say ourselves insightly, we say inside to ourselves, okay, yeah, there are people worse than I am, so do not you know, that do not mind what matter you have in your life.
This is going in his subconscious, right? He is not aware of that.
Yeah, actually, you know that we are aware it. Probably we are aware of it, and that is why we prefer to, you know, that much more focusing on the negativity in the media instead of focusing on the good things, because we would like to see that the world is worse than our lives.
الدكتور يقول هذا يعني شيء له علاقة بنفسية الناس إجمالا يميلون للبحث عن الأخبار التي يمكن أن تقول لهم إنه يعني حياتكم ليست أسوأ شيء في العالم، إنه العالم يعاني من مشاكل أكثر من التي عندكم. فيبدو هذا شيء لا إرادي لكن مدرك بنفس الوقت. يعني دائما تفتح على نشرة الأخبار أو تبحث عن أخبار أو تشدك الأخبار اللي تتحدث عن هموم الآخرين وتعكس لك إنه وضعك يعني لا بأس به.
Just imagine that instead of you, all over the world is good, and you have the only person, you know, that in a bad situation. If somebody, you know, that has this kind of, you know, that psychology, probably they can never, you know, that escaped or get out of a depression.
تخيل على سبيل المثال إنه يكون شخص معين يرى دائما بأنه كل العالم يعيش بشكل أفضل مما هو عليه.
So to be, you know, that the optimistic in our lives, we prefer to see the, you know, that the negativity in the news or in any media production.
إذا نحن نميل دائما إلى رؤية ما هو سلبي في الإعلام وفي المنتجات الإعلامية.
Yeah, that's all. So yeah, we finished, you know, that the news values of Galtung and the Rouge. A new subject is the types of news, but I think it's better to continue next week, Mohammed.
Yeah,
it's almost 7:30.
I have a question, Professor.
Yes, please.
Now, media is working like that according to those two schools which we mentioned, right?
Yeah.
In general, they
especially while reporting a news.
Yeah, they either work according to the liberal theory or the Scandinavian theory, right?
Yeah, we can't say the Scandinavian theory, Galton and the Ruiz theory.
Yeah, Galton and
It's more critical than the liberal theory.
yeah. So
and more detailed one.
they work according to one of those schools, or maybe they merge between them. But my question is, what are the ethics here? I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, the ethics.
if I am going to make a newspaper right now, we all of us here, we are going to make a newspaper, and
Yes.
we study those two schools, and we say which one should we choose between them, and we choose one of them, and according to that, we evaluate the materials which we are getting. Reporters from all these Arab countries or wherever. And after that, we see that, for example, this news, we will make it number one because it is talking about a celebrity, but we will not talk about this car accident in which children died because people don't care about it. Or we will make something personal. We will not talk about the general issue, or we will talk about a culture which is close to us, but there are other cultures which are more fascinating, but we don't know about them. I mean, how can we merge at the end between those studies which are telling us how should media work to be able to reach audience from one side,
Actually,
and ethics on the other side?
I think this is related with the, that the media literacy level of the people in the society, or all the people of the world. Because as you know that the journalist, or that as a journalism professor, we have this information, this knowledge, how media works. And we know that the manner of the, that the media, or majority of the media all over the world is, as that the capitalized media, not a public media, or their, that the priority, we can say that their priority is not the social responsibility or social interest or human interest. The main goal is to earn money, to maximize their profits. So if in the, that the profit media world, it is not easy to merge these two, that these two, what I can say, these two perspectives. But on the other hand, as a, as a journalist, personally, as a, we prefer to, that we can personally prefer to choose much more human interest focused in the news media, and also in choosing the, that the news story subjects.
Okay.
That is all. There is no kind of a, that I think solution in the profit media world. But if we can, maybe, that it takes time, I know it, if we can increase the, that the media literacy level of the people all over the world, and we can, that they awake them up how media, that works, and how media, that try to, that by their interests, their opinions, or their, that attentions, maybe when the people can be more critical, that about the media and the media contents, maybe then we can talk more about, that the ethics, I think.
Okay, I will just translate that to our colleagues. أنا سألت الدكتور، إحنا الآن يعني درسنا أو اطلعنا على مدرستين أساسيتين تقولان لوسائل الإعلام كيف يتوجب عليهما العمل، ما هي الطرق، ما هي الأولويات، ما هي الأمور، ما هي الإيفنتس، الأحداث التي يجب أن تتحول إلى أخبار وأن تصدر، والأحداث التي لا يجب أن تنال ذلك الاهتمام، إما لا تنشر نهائيا أو تكون في آخر نشرات الأخبار أو في أقل اهتمام. المدرستين واقعيتين تتحدثان عن وسائل الإعلام التقليدية التي تعتاش على الجمهور، على الإعلانات. بالتأكيد هي لا تتحدث عن وسائل إعلام حكومية أو وسائل إعلام ممولة من جهات معينة. فهذه مدرستين واقعيتين، المدرستين المعتمدتين في أغلب وسائل الإعلام في العالم، ربما ليس في العالم العربي. لكن هنا يأتي السؤال، كيف يعني بكل واقعية هذه المدارس الصحفية التي تدرس في الجامعات تقول لك قدم الخبر المتعلق بديفيد بيكهام مثلا، ولا تقدم الخبر المتعلق بحادث مرور قتل فيه أطفال؟ كيف ندمج بين هذه المدرسة وبين أخلاقيات العمل الصحفي؟ فالدكتور أجاب بأنه هذا هو الواقع، وهذا الواقع مرتبط بمدى الثقافة الإعلامية، الثقافة الصحفية العامة الموجودة عند الناس، مدى قدرة الناس أو الجمهور في بلد ما، في مجتمع ما، أن يكون نقديا في متابعة وسائل الإعلام. هذا من جهة. من جهة ثانية على الصحفي نفسه أنه يكون مدرك بأنه أنا أقوم بهذا العمل لأنه هذا هو الواقع، لكن قدر الإمكان أن يحاول أن يسلط الضوء على الجوانب الإنسانية وأن يكون أخلاقي في عمله. إذا في أحد آخر should we ask them if they have questions professor؟
Yeah, please.
إذا في أحد عنده أي سؤال تفضلوا.
هو كانت اعتماد أهمية الخبر أو أخذ الخبر وفقا لدراسة الجمهور اللي بدك توصل له الخبر. يعني أنت بتدرس شو محتاج جمهورك وتقدر توصل له إياه، طبعا بمعزل عن موضوع سياسة القناة والأجندة اللي أنت ماشي فيها. طبعا في نقطة ممكن أضيفها إضافية الآن، أهمية الخبر. يعني إحنا بنتناول الخبر إذا كان ترند أساسا على السوشيال ميديا فبناخده كخبر، فقيمة الترند على السوشيال ميديا بتعطي ميزة، هذه مش مذكورة بالمدرستين.
هذه مدارس تقليدية. This is a good point. Mr. Rushdie says now maybe we need another school because for example what is trend today in social media is a news and pushes other traditional news outlets to focus on this issue which is now trend in social media.
يعني the
But
value of news, we study the audience what we need, then we give our news. يعني
what did he say?
He said we need to study our audience. So in any way we need to study our audience. The other point is that nowadays social media is pushing us to care or to focus on some things because now there is something called trend. So trend in social
media. That's right. Yeah, social media is common in our daily life, and we are using it frequently. But on the other hand, as you know, that I think it's about that the 12 hours we are spending our time in consuming a media. The average, the time all over the world. And that means we are, under the attack of a information, the bomb. And it is not easy, to filtrate all these things under the, while we are under attack of information, bomb. So and actually what I noticed is, or what I observed among the young population in Turkey, they in social media they are watching not reading. So it's that we come again to the that the point of the skills of and the awareness of the that the media consumers and the audience again.
But Professor, here you don't agree that social media and the concept of trend is contributing in deciding the priorities of other media outlets?
Yeah, that's right. If there's a conscious audience, and if they are aware what is happening, and if they okay, I forgot the word. I have to check it. Sorry.
الدكتور يقول إنه يتفق إنه وسائل التواصل
If the
الاجتماعي
social media, that the users can press and can bring up the agenda of the social media in any issue, like for example, that the animal rights or child, children, that the workers, if there's kind of that the audience press on the media via the social media, yes, sometimes we see it, but on the other hand, it's not, that possible, or we can't see it in all issues.
إذا حتى بس عشان ألخص، حتى يحدث اختراق من قبل السوشيال ميديا للمعايير اللي ذكرناها بناء على المدرستين، اللي هو انه يكون قريب، وانه يكون مثير، ويكون متعلق بالثقافه، ويكون متعلق بمشاهير والى اخره. هذه المعايير اللي ممكن احنا نعترض معها الى حد ما من الناحيه الاخلاقيه مثلا في بعض الاحيان. حتى يتمكن وسائل الاعلام والترند من انه يعمل اختراق لهذه المنظومه، لازم يكون في وعي عام عالي جدا، عالي المستوى. حتى مثلا اني اصدر فكره رعايه الاطفال او عماله الاطفال مثلا في وسائل الاعلام على حساب اخبار مشاهير، فالترند لازم يكون فعلا مركز في هذا الموضوع، وهذا يعكس انه في عندي مجتمع واعي، وبالتالي الوسائل الاعلام راح تلتزم بهذا السقف او بهذا المستوى من الوعي عند الجمهور. اوكي.
And please do not forget that the trend, that in social media, not always can be in, that the expected way or expected perspective. Sometimes, that it can be, that the spin up in unexpected or negative perspective as well.
So they might, the trend might be something which we can't follow in media, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, for example, ethical, or in terms of ethics, right?
No. Not in terms of ethics, but that we are as people, or that the persons, we are the user of the social media, and as social media users, we are also that the content producers. So we are, as a the personally, we are as a that media content producer. So but that doesn't mean that all the that the social media users are sharing their opinions in any issue in the that the in a social responsibility or a responsible way, or sometimes they can that to do this in unresponsibly or ideologically. So the trend can be in a that unexpected or negative way.
And
so if that we all of us probably agree with that the girls and boys should have education. That's right.
Yes.
But on the other hand, for example, that in the society, some people can have the idea of girls shouldn't shouldn't go to school and shouldn't have education. And if there's kind of that social media trend can come up in this perspective, and and it can become the dominant trend. So what can you do?
إذا الدكتور بيتكلم عن الجوانب السلبية في الصحافة اللي بتركز وبتتابع الترند بشكل أو تستجيب لضغوط الترند بشكل دائم. في بعض الأحيان الترند قد يكون سلبي بشكل غير متوقع، قد لا يعكس بالفعل مستوى جيد يستحق الاهتمام، قد يعكس آراء نخبة معينة أو فئة معينة، ويختلف أيضا، أو قد يعكس مشاكل نفسية موجودة في المجتمع. فعلى سبيل المثال إذا كان الترند اليوم أنه ضد مثلا تعليم النساء، فهل وسائل الإعلام يجب أن تستجيب إلى هذا الترند؟ أعتقد يعني إذا في حدا عنده ملاحظة أو مداخلة يتفضل. بس أنا يعني تجربتي الشخصية إحنا هذا النقاش طويل في وسائل الإعلام يعني، فأنا شخصيا مثلا أرفض إنه يكون وسيلة الإعلام خاضعة للترند، خصوصا إنه الخوارزميات مثلا تويتر يعني قابلة أيضا للتلاعب، وليس كل شريحة المجتمع موجودة على تويتر مثلا. For example, Professor, I don't know if you agree with me, not everybody is on Twitter. So
Yeah.
trend doesn't really speak in tongue of the whole society, right?
Yeah. The people who have access to social media can only share their the ideas, opinions.
Mhm.
And we know that
Not
almost
everybody is there.
and all of us are different than each other, and we all have different opinions and shares. It is not that the people are not so easily agree that negotiate in any issue.
Mhm. ليس من السهل إنه وسائل الإعلام تبقى تتابع النقاشات الحادة بين مختلف الآراء الموجودة على وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي. Professor, they are asking to finish.
Yes, we can finish.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, Mohammed. Thank you for translation. So
Thank you.
see you next Friday. Have a nice weekend and evening.
ثانك يو دكتور، شكرا سيد محمد.
الله يعطيك العافية يا رب.
شكرا جزيلا دكتور، الله يعطيك ألف عافية يا رب.
شكرا محمد، شكرا دكتور آدم، شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا.